You to all the attendees who are following us virtually. Today we're celebrating more than 1 year in making cinema under Corona, and there's no better way in celebrating it than having a panel over Zoom. And I'm happy to welcome the film industry experts to discuss the current situation, the effects of the pandemic and the aftermath, and how everything changed in just a couple of months. So we'll be discussing how Corona reshaped the production and distribution journey of a film. And also, I hope that we can discuss some positive things about all this, how it affected the production of film and the distribution in a positive way. And maybe we can also tackle the alternative ways to sustain the film industry. So I would like to start by introducing our panelists. We have Ramzi Khoury from Misr International Films, Aflam Masr Al-Alamiyya, Deputy CEO. So Ramzi, in addition to leading MIF's exhibition arm, he recently been playing a major role in the company's content production and distribution strategy. Since joining MIF in 2006, he's been a driving force in the exhibition business growth, resulting in MIF becoming a strong player in the cinema industry. He was a pioneer in modernizing the cinema-going experience in Egypt via the introduction of premium screening formats, innovative technologies, as well as online ticketing. In fact, Ramzi is the one who introduced the IMAX and MX for the technologies in Egypt. Then I would like to introduce Rula Naser, producer. Rula is an independent Jordanian producer with an accumulated experience in different aspects of production of commercials, TV series, and low-budget films, all the way to big budget studio films. She started with the BBC channel and Discovery Channel projects in the Middle East, a journey that contained self-exploration of local stories and talents across Jordan. She joined the Royal Film Commission in 2005 for developing the Filmmakers Support Program. She co-wrote the first low-budget film, Transit Cities, which was well received in the Arab world and was the start of a new independent cinema wave in Jordan. In 2011, she established the Imaginarium Films, a company that focuses on discovering local talents and developing an appealing international story embedded in the Arab world. Last but not least, I would like to introduce Shahinaz, who is the CEO of Laguni Group, which she co-founded in 2016. Laguni Group includes different business subsidiaries: entertainment, tourism, hospitality, and food and beverage. Prior to establishing her own group, Shahinaz spent 20 years working in tourism. She always believed that Egypt is one of the most beautiful countries globally, and tourism is its highest potential for a better economy. Shahinaz's main interests are reading and traveling. So after 20 years, she decided to turn her passion for books and stories into a business and started Laguni Film Production to turn the books that inspire her into TV series and films. And because she believes that the TV and cinema are the most powerful means to convey a message that positively affect the community. Welcome all. I'm gonna start by a big question that I would like you to all, to each one of you to answer. I would like you to outline, broadly speaking, how the film production and distribution were affected through your own work experience, and to mention what were the uncoverable obstacles that you faced, and if you managed to overcome them, and to talk a bit about the remedies that you found. So how about we start with you, Rula, because I know that you've been shooting and producing a film, a major film, and it's in a sensitive stage. So how was your experience? How was the pandemic?
I will start, yeah. I think this Corona is affecting us big time. I don't know who's shooting those days. We were enjoying maybe more, and now our life is becoming more and more difficult. I'm cutting.
You are cutting, yes, a little bit. I don't know if everyone is hearing Rula or if I'm the only one who's having trouble.
يعني not very good.
Not very well. Yeah, I think you froze, Rula. We moved to Shahinaz, and maybe you can talk to us about your experience during Corona, since you are producing both films and TV series. You have
for me, you know, I'm still, I think, يعني إن أنا I'm still under shock. يعني I still not believing all this crazy things يعني بس I went with the flow يعني. ما أنا I was telling you يعني I'm still under shock يعني I'm not believing يعني in all this is happening الحقيقة. طبعا أنا I have a film. It's supposed to be يعني out طبعا بس we couldn't طبعا لأن أنا once the corona started I had a film in the cinema. I think the pre-cinema thinks the platform who bought from us our films in the inboxes, wallahi they helped a lot. يعني
because Shahinaz, you had the both experience of a film and a series. Do you think that there was
drama,
one that was better than the other?
Wallahi, as for drama, I want really to meet Mr. Corona to thank him. And before Corona, يعني it was not very good يعني بس after Corona خلاص we are looking for serious things يعني we're not doing n'importe quoi يعني we have to study what we are doing يعني فأنا يعني for me the corona it had يعني his positive things. Okay. طبعا غير كده I have a film with Rula. We didn't shoot yet for 2 years. خلاص we are waiting. She's running بس خلاص what we can do.
That's a positive note at least.
We have to have a faith, Shahinaz.
It's a global.
We have a faith. One day we will be back to cinema.
والله أنا I was telling them very good things about you يا رول. سهل.
حبيبتي, thank you. Thank you.
والله I miss you والله.
Thank you.
So welcome back, Rula.
I'm sorry, it's the internet. I'm in the base camp.
No, I understand. So Shahinaz was telling us about her experience and the fact that the shooting drama and shooting series was actually Corona made it beneficial, but with films it really it had a very different impact on this. So I want to go back to you, Rula, and how you lived it, and shooting and preparing for a big film. How did you manage this delay, and did you adapt to it? Your strategy, and what was what were the unrecoverable obstacles, and if you found any remedies to them?
Remedies, there's no remedies with this corona at all. I think it's affecting us in so many aspects. You hear me well or not?
Yes.
Let's say at the beginning, I thought that this is starting of the corona, it will be a short time and we will develop more a project and we will be with is we were like waiting to release them, and now even opening the films that has a potential for theatrical release is problematic because we are waiting. We don't know how much we can wait. Okay, festivals strategies are different. The way of the exposure of the films are different. So it's are affecting us in not only the production side, but also on the distribution, on our plans. On I didn't see all the or more of you. The other side, due to Corona, everyone started to acquire more titles, and there is now tendency is going more and more toward TV series. So if we are looking around how we are financing the film, it's becoming more difficult. No one is like wants to support films because all the VODs or the channels or the platforms are looking for series. So this is a question who's like only specialized in films has to change the platforms and the format, which is also it's the transition that takes time. It has a different module in development and in finance. And this was a number 2 problem that we don't know how much we can catch this kind of rapid of changes due to this pandemic. And on the other side, when you go to the shooting, to the main production, it's becoming more scary for any producer because we are living in so many variables. And we don't know if we will cross it or not, we will stop or not. Every producer will think, but you also, your cost is becoming bigger and the finance is less. And you think about many times to shoot or not to shoot because you can reach to dead end. So Corona is challenging the film industry in a big time and the production, whether it is production, whether it is development. Now we don't know where we are going, and even for the distribution. I produced a film. I was lucky to do this film in Abu Dhabi, and which is Abu Dhabi. Let's say they were like having a very strict restrictions about Corona and rules, and the kind of country that follows the rules. But today I'm shooting in Jordan, and it's completely different. So it is becoming more and more difficult. And again, with our kind of budget, it's becoming so risky because the films are more expensive, and it's not becoming expensive that like we can recoup this like extra money that we are putting, or it's like, you know, independent film is harder recouping. We lost the festivals, which is now I do like all this online, but at the end we are human. We need that interaction. It is a different kind of experience. It's a different kind of distribution. So we are still moving. We are waiting.
It's also it won't last forever, يعني.
Yeah. It's also a different
والله يعني it's a global pandemic يعني فهنعمل ايه c'est la vie.
Yes, c'est la vie. I heard that in Egypt even they don't have like news about the pandemic.
لا we have والله we heard about it.
We heard about it.
And this is my only يعني concern لأن أنا I have always the guilt يعني to I shoot لا don't shoot كده يعني this is يعني the only thing for me at least.
لا هلا in Egypt it's, you know, Egypt is a massive country, but going to shoot in a different places we have a lot of like very complicated guidelines and rules. We can't have a lot of people in one room. So many scenes are not allowed to do it. We can't get close to each other. We can stop the shoot. The insurance is getting crazy.
احنا if we don't have يعني clear rules احنا we follow the rules. يعني
so
we were affected big time in like how many days we were in a production. Like last year we stopped for 9 months, I think, completely 9 months. And then we started end of the year when we said, okay, Corona is coming to the end, and now then we got to another peak. Restrictions of a travel is a problem, and it's affecting us big time. Importing things, it's, you know, it's when you go into production, you have a lot of elements that are crossing you with the
Rula, and I have hotels and I'm working in tourism. يعني point final.
You are screwed, my dear.
أيوة يعني خلاص والله one more word and we'll cry يعني خلاص.
We should make a festival there.
So Rula, you were saying about, you were talking about the changes that you face.
It's a difficult time.
It's a difficult time. I want to jump to the audience part where I would like to hear you, Ramzi, about, and I think you got also affected a lot because as a film producer, exhibitor, and distributor, I think you've had it all. So can you tell us how you cope with this, with the situation, and if you found any alternative ways or innovative ways to reach your audience?
Yes. First of all, I think one of the biggest losses is that we cannot do these things face to face anymore. We have to, rely on Zoom, and this is not proper FaceTime. It's not easy to have conversations with fellow, industry people that, we're all suffering together, and we cannot even be together in the same room to suffer together. We just have to be on Zoom and suffer together. So that's, it's a little frustrating in that regards. But in terms of my personal experience as, first of all, as an exhibitor in Egypt, as you said, it's been a year now. And, we, in cinema, it works in seasons. So if you think about the seasons, the first season that was affected was the Eid in 2020. And then there is the summer season. And then there is the big Eid, Eid al-Adha. And then you have the Christmas vacations and the midterm vacations as well, the school vacations. So we've had basically Corona wipe 1 year of the cinema season. Even we shut down from March to June, a complete shutdown, and then we reopened with 25% capacity. So I mean, the first impact is on cinemas, because cinemas have very high fixed cost, and you have to pay rents, you have to pay salaries, and you don't have revenue. So the challenge for the cinema was to try to stay afloat, not to bleed too much money, with no titles releasing, with no major title releasing. So major studios, they were delaying all their releases. We were initially showing only old independent films, doing 50 admissions per day in a cinema multiplex with 11 screens. So it was very tough. So that's for on the exhibition side, and on the production side, all the producers, they had films in their lockers, in their closet, and not knowing if they should release or not, with 25% occupancy, 50% occupancy. So that goes for major studio movies as well as local content films. So they decided basically to wait. So they froze a lot of money in their content, not releasing their movies, and cinemas, they didn't have the content to survive, and that changed in Eid, the big Eid. We were co-producers of a small, light, medium budgeted film called Al-Ghassala, and we released it with 25% occupancy in the big Eid. Two very, given the circumstances, very positive results. So we were able to get the ball rolling a little bit again in terms of cinemas, and we encouraged the distributors and the producers in the market to, basically, with the results of Al-Ghassala, we said it is possible to do some sort of box office in the Corona times in Egypt. So following the release of Al-Ghassala, a lot of medium, small to medium-sized films were released. Two quite positive results. For example, we had Zinzana Sab'a, that was a title that was released, did not bad. Tawam Ruhi did quite well. Al-Khitta Al-Aima did also not bad. And
وقفة رجالة.
وقفة رجالة recently did very well, given the circumstances. Some could argue that these films, these medium-sized films, would not have done these results in normal times, because they would have faced competition from the big star movies, from Hollywood, the Fast and Furiouses and the Avengers of this world. So there was kind of hope in that regard. And these movies, these medium-sized films, they actually kept the industry afloat in Egypt, and we supported also the cinemas in the GCC. So, this is kind of like my Corona year in a nutshell, if you want.
Mm-hmm. It's very interesting. I would like to go back to this point you were talking about. Do you think that Corona opened a space for new sort of films to be more seen? And do you think the genre of films that we are used to seeing in cinemas will be changed, or will evolve somehow? And I also had an additional question about the kind of audience that would go to cinema. Are we talking about less people but more loyal, or just less people?
No,
is the nature of the audience coming to?
Yeah, no, I get your question. In terms of the type of content that was watched, it wasn't any different. So mainstream was still number one, and your smaller independent festival type films were also not big audience grabs for big multiplexes. And those who actually came to the cinema were, it's difficult to say that mainstream audience is more less afraid of Corona than another type of audience. It's random. I cannot I cannot say so. I cannot say that the different types of content prevailed in times of Corona. I wouldn't say so, no. And you had the second part of your question, which I forgot.
I think this was the second part of the question about the audience, and you also answered the one about the genre of films, and if Corona opened a space for a new type of films. So thank you. I would like to continue by talking more about how the cinema experience is being is evolving, and to ask you if you think that you have to revolutionize somehow the cinema experience, and if after Corona, if there's a future for digital release or a virtual cinema release or something like that. Will people go back to cinemas the same way after Corona is over, or will you be doing or will you be doing something different like Kino Marquis is doing in Europe to help independent cinemas and to virtualize them? Have you thought about these?
Is the question for me?
Yes. Ramzi.
Okay.
It's not all related to cinema release.
I thought I was off the hook for a minute or so.
Yes,
I could drink maybe a sip of water or something. And no, so the experience that we have seen worldwide, in my opinion, is that there have been some attempts to release to skip cinema. And they have not proven to be beneficial for at least for big budgeted films. So when Disney decided to release Mulan only on Disney Plus in the market, Disney Plus was active, they released it at a price. So not only the Disney Plus subscribers they could watch it, they had to even pay a premium, as if they were paying for a ticket, a cinema ticket in their home. And when they did so, deciding to skip the theatrical release completely, and mind you, Mulan's budget was $200 million. and they decided to make this move to release in the Disney Plus markets without theatrical. And the number of people who bought the home ticket for streaming was underwhelming. It wasn't what they expected. There were further attempts afterwards by Warner Brothers to release films. So in 2021, Meriam, do you still can you hear me?
And I hear you.
طب الحمد لله.
We hear you. We hear you.
في حد سمعني طب.
We hear you. Go ahead.
Meriam, she froze, so I don't know if I should wait for her or Rula is back, I see.
No, I'm just like disconnecting because of the internet, so I hear you all the time.
The connection at Miriam's is lost now.
Okay.
But yeah, I think she's here, but it needs time for her to reconnect. But Ramzi, you can go on.
Okay, yeah. So I was just saying that one of the positives for the cinema industry is that in my opinion, it gave me the feeling that that cinema is not going to die. That the perfect model of release for films is going to still be cinema, theatrical, and then digital. The skipping the theatrical component, which was talked about even before the corona, whether that would be a viable model or not. And then when corona arrived, lots of people thought that this would just accelerate the inevitable, which is that cinemas are going to perish. But what it seems to be the case that at least for big budgeted films, studios need the cinema to justify to maximize the revenue. So this has kind of given me comfort. Yes, we are at times bleeding money during corona. If we have a good release, a medium-sized release, we can break even, even make a little bit of profit 1 month. But generally, I'm confident that when the corona passes and major films are being released again, and then we'll have a proper slate of local and foreign, big budgeted, medium budgeted films, cinema will be back. So that's my take on the things.
Thank you, Ramzi. And I think in the Middle East and in the Arab world, we also have a different relationship with our cinemas, not like outside of the Arab countries. I have a question for Shahinaz. Being also a distributor, not just a producer, and having almost all festivals last year being cancelled or delayed, international markets being only virtual, I want to ask you, how did this impact acquiring films, promoting them, and selling them?
First of all, about cinema.
Like it was harder for you to acquire.
And I hear you very bad, Miriam, but I want to say something about films. I have recently my film أعز الولد on Shahid.
Yes.
Wallahi, it hurts a lot when I watched it قلت يا رب it hurt I wish that I see this film on a big screen in cinema. This is another part. I didn't hear your question about.
I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
Okay.
Yes, perfect. No, I wanted to ask you how did having festival being cancelled and international markets where we're used to promoting the content or the projects in the pipeline, did you find difficulty with the festivals being cancelled to promote your films and to acquire new projects and to sell your films?
Of course, it's more difficult, and we have difficulty with all these things, but we survived. I don't share with Rula same opinion. Maybe she is on ground, she feel more, بس مش عارفة how to say it.
ممكن تقوليها بالعربي and
ما أنا مش لاقية الكلمة أصلاً. For me يعني all the process كان difficult بس أنا مش I don't afraid يعني I'm not afraid. I think the cinema will never die. وخلاص هنعمل
And
إيه؟
I think you also Shahinaz, you also found your own ways also in acquiring books and adapting them, not just
when I start this business I found us out of the competition. Out of the competition. I didn't believe in this is the السينما السينما إيجيبسيان يعني بقى دي السينما الإيجيبسيان يعني for me يعني كده. بس after والله كورونا I have يعني high hopes.
Okay.
Even I think إن إحنا we underestimated the audience.
Yes.
يعني for Rula even يا Rula أنت your films دلوقتي they have more chance than before. خلاص.
يعني I wish to believe in this honestly, Shahinaz. It's on يعني you know what, when Corona started I was on all the platforms looking of so many films. I don't know what's I wish to have some statistics. What those how many audience are watching films on a different platforms, whether it is the online festivals or even with the different platforms that keeps opening. This is like a big question mark. At the beginning I was very excited, and now the amount of things that is happening online, I'm not sure how to can
لا طبعا of course يعني platforms never will compensate cinemas يعني لأن don't forget إحنا we have internet to pay ويعني
and
yeah,
the
and subscriptions and
like if you think of like the independent Arab films on Netflix, you need to know which films and you go and find them. If you look at Netflix, you will never find them in your face. How many films we are doing per year, it will become less and less because part of the two main windows that were, whether it's an art house where it is a commercial, is losing the recoupment windows. So how many films will be like in the market soon? It's less. Now you don't feel it because our films from 2019 is still not shown, but in another year you will not find those like number of films.
لا خلاص بقى نازر الكورونا بقى هتكون الله يرحمها خلاص.
إن شاء الله يا شهناز إن شاء الله. I'm excited to hear this, but it's like I was optimistic last year and I'm not very optimistic this year. But again, also it's like, is there a transition? And it is a creative production and distribution completely from cinema to TV. And I think we are going toward that more and more. If this situation is staying for a while, cinema will be for the niche.
True.
Interesting point, Rula, because I believe also that people are hungry for content because people watch more content at home and they can get bored easily. So there will be a sort of a more selective way, and they can be more strict in selecting their content. So my question to you,
and I will make you laugh on something, which is, you know, maybe it's just like now approaching all those platforms, how the film is judged. It's not about the quality of the film. It's who's the director, who's your stars, how long it is. We heard like comments like it's not our genre, or we are not interested of this kind of film, because it's like the arty thing is completely not in the calculation of choosing those films. They are thinking, okay, if it's long, then people will be fast forwarding, so they will not seeing this. And that means also the kind of films that is on the platforms is a kind of like, I think it's a chosen randomly, even though it's more algorithm than it is artistic.
Yes, of course, you're right. And what about for you, Rula, when the festivals were cancelled, what did this affect the sales of the film in terms of finding for you to represent your film worldwide?
Honestly, every filmmaker, especially the art house filmmakers, everyone wants to open in a big film.
Or maybe
because
it's maybe
it's not only sales,
yes.
Meriame. It's talents. It's like opportunity. Like every director knows when they open in Cannes or Berlin or those films, they will be known. They will have an audience. They will have like agencies that following them. They will get a bigger projects. All of that is like becoming less and less. You know, for our projects, I have 2 projects with Shahinaz, and the wisest things was like to stop, but now we have to open them, honestly, sooner or later. So we started again, and also the post was it was killing.
Well, I'm happy to hear this, Yarul.
Soon, my dear. We are waiting the summer to come, so the corona is drying, and we can find an audience.
Wallahi, we have a very nice film together. Wallahi.
Inshallah. But also, what I was telling you, even the posts were like a pain. Okay, because we you know, our films is depending on a lot of co-production, which means people has to travel. So the sound is in France, the mixing was in Czech Republic, and at the end we did so many things remotely. I don't think it was an easy year on us, honestly. It was a year that we felt busy, but we were moving in our places. It's like, it's not productive, because the thing that you can do in a month, you were doing in 4 months with all these restrictions and the problems. Yeah.
Rula, do you think that any governmental entities should have a role in sustaining the film production and industry? Or do you think it's time for co-production to come together and people to co-produce together?
And let's say like this, if we look at the international scene, we saw that in most of Europe and even in Canada, okay? I live in Canada, so I was called many times, okay, to be compensated, to be supported. We saw what happened in France. We are seeing what happened in Europe. But what happened in the Arab world? Nothing. I think the crew in Jordan were like in their houses for 8 months, and some of them, they didn't get the money to pay their rent. So the missing of unions, the missing of all of that is like, it's a big problem in that, honestly, that shakes this industry, if you want to consider it as an industry. All right, but this is number one. Co-production, we don't have a co-production. And now I think the coming years, with all the economy problems, the co-productions will be less. Because I don't think that the governments will be like investing in co-production more to sustain their own industry. So I'm not seeing this coming. I want to be more optimistic, but the more we are in this kind of like really pandemic, the influence of the economy will be coming very soon. But in the Arab world, what kind of co-production we have? I think we have less funds. Okay, now the TVs are like, the one is like driving the whole kind of funding, which is a TV productions more. We have only Doha now. Still, Saudi Arabia is not clear. There's the Jordan Film Fund that is small, very tiny in Lebanon. I don't know what's happening. So I think this idea of a co-production, it's always with Europe, and now with this pandemic and the economical impact will be shaking the whole thing.
But we started يعني as a producers to join forces together يعني.
Now we want to join forces, but also as a producer today and tomorrow, you and me will invest, but in 3 years, if we can't get the money back, I'm not sitting on a bank. Okay, at the
لا
end,
خلاص
it's a cycle.
لا حبيبتي أنا I can't
unless you want us to open a bank.
والله I can give you 3 weeks. يلا
3 weeks. So it's a cycle. It's a cycle, my dear.
Yes.
We started this together lately. The last 2 years, we started to like having like a couple of producers who's investing and who's like controlling different kind of countries or platforms. But at the end, the aim was those films kind of close at the end. Its cost, losing the festivals and losing the theatrical. We have only a very tiny windows. It's good, the TV, but we lost 2 windows. So I don't know. It's all a question mark. I think this is why a lot of people, they said like immediately, let's go to the TV, let's produce to the TV.
But you know, in Egypt, يعني, and I see this and a positive thing as well. And people in Egypt, they start looking at this industry like an industry. they thought إن دول ناس just doing nothing. Now they discovered and there is a lot of people who gain their كده from this business
But Egypt is a different module, Shahinaz. Like when we say Morocco, it's a different module. You
Yes, I
can close
know.
the country and be independent. The teams can work. They have enough TVs. They have enough people to watch the content. It's a huge country. Like when I say like Morocco, they can close the whole co-production and they can keep the wheel.
No. What I meant إن إحنا الإندستري دي كل الناس زي بيبصوا لها على إنها حاجة for fun. مش إن في ناس أيوة true والله most of Egyptian people هم كده. بس now بقى هم زي understand دلوقتي إن إحنا we have to support الناس دي.
So going to translate what Shahinaz was saying is that
ميرسي شكرا والله بعمل
مجهود
جبار. My English is very bad. My accent in English is very bad. لا perfect ايه كلموني.
You're doing great, Shahinaz.
والله
you made our day here. You made our day. I want to tell you that you made our day. You're doing great. Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you.
No, it's every point was clear, and it's just in case someone did not get your point, Shahinaz, you were saying that you have this feeling that people were not taking this industry seriously, and it was rather a fun industry, and that now they're forced to do things more seriously. And is that it, right? That they have to, okay. And I don't want any to interrupt this, but I have to be careful of the time. I wanted to thank you all for your time and your participation. We have 10 minutes now for any questions from the audience. I see that we had a question from Abdullah Adil. Abdullah, can you just tell us your question is directed to who exactly?
Miriam, I think it's like sort of a general question about. He's a director.
There is no answer yet.
Can you hear me, Miriam?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, like in brief, he has a documentary which he did in a very low budget. Like it costed him like $500 only, and he's asking for an advice on how could he like if you could have advice on how he like help to distribute it, whether in festivals or platforms. Like it's
okay,
a question
more of a general question. So whoever would like to advise on how Abdullah can have his film distributed, whether in festivals or in co-production markets. Rula, maybe you have an advice for this sort of scenario? I don't know if Rula is with us.
Meriame, don't you have advice for this?
Yes, I do. I'm trying to contain myself.
But once
asking the question.
I mean, I think you're perfectly the perfect position to answer.
I think there's no, honestly, okay. there's no perfect way of doing a festival. There's no a film. There's no recipe. There's no right or wrong. There are films are very low budget. They circulate way better than big budget film, and it's a very low budget. I believe if it's your first documentary, you should try co-production platforms. Of course, the feedback that you get from the professionals that attend is really important, and the connections that you make. It's not only about receiving money and prizes in these co-production platforms, but it's really about expanding your network and taking advantage of the feedback of professionals. And also gaining visibility from festival programmers who will be attending there. So I would really advise for that. Do we have another question, Batul?
We have...
or not? I'm trying to...
We have Eli Khalifa saying that due to the pandemic, we maybe have to reinvent our way of making films. That was more of an opinion.
Hello, Eli. I think you made the right before the pandemic. So, Shahinaz, do you think there's any reinvention in making while shooting a film or making it? Are we introducing? I'm adding to it. You don't hear me.
لا خالص يعني
Okay, is it cutting or is
cutting?
Can you hear me now?
The picture is not really good, but for me, I can hear you perfectly. I don't know about you, Ramzi and Rula. Can you hear Meriame?
I can hear everyone.
Yeah.
Except,
so we should definitely reinvent the way of communication.
Miriam, you should ask Ramzi.
So Eli's question was, are we reinventing the way? Okay. do you think there will be more films shot with mobiles, for example, or with the less money?
Is that directed to me now?
Yes, feel free to answer, Ramzi.
I mean, I know that films being shot. I know that films being shot in mobile.
Shahinaz's way of
yeah. I was gonna say, I know that films being shot in mobile have less chances of showing in my cinemas. That's what I know for sure.
Yeah, but they will probably not go to big screens and cinemas, but maybe to platforms.
Yes.
But listen, Meriame, honestly, if you are shooting on a camera or a mobile, this is not the whole production cost. Okay, it's the crew, yes. It's the logistics, yes. It's the actors, it's the wardrobe, it's the makeup. Unless we go do black and white.
The writing and starting from the script writing, of course.
For sure, cinema won't die. Okay, there's like always throughout the years. There were like a dark ages for the cinema, and there's like whether it is politics, it's economy, it's distribution, all of that. So always there is a way to overcome that. Okay, are we discussing that, or we are discussing an industry as an industry, because that is niche also. Okay, even if we are shooting on mobiles, then we will see it on mobiles, and then if we don't have festivals, it will not go to Ramzi's platforms. So that is like, we always have this kind of like, let's say, journeys in our life, but it's not all the right moment, because everything has a memento. I remember when I did the first film, I made it with the $10,000 because it was a memento at that time. I can't today do the $10,000. It's not the same people, it's not the same time, it's not the same quality. It's I grow in a different way, you know. So the memento comes, and with the corona, we are waiting the memento. I wish not the momentum to see all the films about the corona, but to see something more creative.
Okay, there's a question from an anonymous attendee that I just received. And it says, hello, it's a pleasure to be present with you now. In general, there are unfortunately several people who are in the industry for the money. Everyone has the right to earn an honest living, but does it not serve the public anyway? Do we need to rethink about the meaning of the word industry before thinking how to save the movies industry in time of Corona?
I'm not sure that I got it exactly.
Me neither.
Yeah.
لا يعني هو يعني how it's supposed to be يعني احنا we're not a charity community to يعني it's not supposed to serve the community يعني يعني
لا هو at
we're
the
not
end
supposing
we are not
يعني I'm not understanding يعني يعني we entertain people we have only يعني to deliver a good quality project to all audience, even it's nothing in it, even it's a comedy. We're not maybe I didn't understand the question.
I don't think that we are making a lot of money from the films. I think
no, I think you're
commercial
films.
It's not money as well.
We are not doing commercial films. Everyone has a bill to pay. Everyone has to live, even the filmmakers, even the director, even the writer. At the end, if he can't pay
and
his,
don't wait
his
for
food,
us to change the word. It's not our responsibility. This is what I
most of the producers in the Arab world, honestly, they do a lot of charities on the work, because we do commercial things where we can survive, but at the same time, we follow our passion and we do a lot of things that we even invest in it and we don't get recouped, because how many Arab films are recouping the money? So
even
I
if
think
we
that
make,
the one who asked
and
the
if
question
we make money,
is
what's
talking
the problem?
about the
يعني
Limby
يا
maybe
جماعة we have
projects.
mouths to feed. يعني we have to gain money. يعني I eat يعني كده في ايه and even يعني ما اعرفش. Okay.
But I think everyone thinks that we are making a lot of money, Shahinaz. So that is good.
بصي, I have 200 workers. I didn't reduce ولا واحد ولا جنيه from anybody. حبيبي they don't leave طبعا. I didn't fire anybody يعني for 1 year and a half now. يعني بس كمان don't ask me to معلش. Okay.
It's okay.
To serve the community. يعني I'm trying my best والله. I think إن أنا to support in this critical situation 200 families. I think I'm يعني for me I can do more. الحمد لله.
Yes, I think it's we all appreciate your efforts
لا يعني والله
these films and circumstances, as well as the contribution of Rula and people who work like Rula and Ramzi, of course, with what's been happening with the cinemas and the films that are piling up. I just want to wrap up this beautiful panel. Thank you really for participation and time. And I know we raised a lot of interesting topics, and we can talk about that for forever. I think we will never really get the answers. We will see how things will go. But it was very insightful and interesting to hear your point of views, all of you. So thank you again, and I hope to see you soon, all of you.
Thank you.
Not virtually.
Wallahi, nice to see you all.
Thank you all so much. Thank you, Meriame. Thank you, Rula. Thank you, Ramzi. Thank you, Shahinaz. Shahinaz, you made our day. Thank you for this amazing panel. Yes. And for all of you who's watching, don't forget we're always happy to have you. We're always happy that you are part of MAF. This was the end of day 1. We still have 3 days ahead. And I hope to see you all tomorrow in our events. Thank you and bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.